The chief went back to his hometown to treat the whole village to a meal at a state-owned restaurant. My boyfriend, the chef, followed my junior sister's advice and brought in a few pigs that had died of plague to make braised pork in order to save money. My colleagues praised my junior sister for her thrifty housekeeping and agreed with her. In my previous life, I stopped this ridiculous behavior and persuaded her that if it harmed the chief, everyone would suffer. Everyone thought I was overreacting and said it would be fine as long as I cooked well. I ignored their sarcasm and begged them to dispose of the sick pigs. I even dragged my feverish body to stand watch and set fire to burn the diseased pigs. I helped them cook with all my strength, and 3 hours later, we finally prepared 10 tables of food before the chief arrived. Everyone in the logistics department received a 1,000 yuan reward from the chief. My boyfriend was promoted 3 levels and became the top leader, eligible for a bonus. That same day, I was kidnapped by my junior sister and locked up with the plague-infected pigs. I died of illness. When the police investigated, my boyfriend and others collectively gave false testimony. Emily Turner is completely unscrupulous. She embezzled public funds and couldn't pay off her debts, so she bought diseased pigs to murder the chief. I found out later and was scared to death. My junior sister became the celebrated chef, and the two of them even held their wedding in front of the chief. The food coupons I had saved with great difficulty were twisted into evidence to slander me. James Carter held my junior sister and watched indifferently. My parents were beaten to death by angry villagers. Only after they died did I realize the entire thing was a conspiracy by my junior sister. Now that I've lived again, these ungrateful wolves still dared to feed the chief diseased pigs. I won't interfere this time. If they want to die, let them. Okay, listen to Sarah Miller. As long as the diseased pigs are processed by us, no one will notice. She's so thrifty, really knows how to cut costs. No one would ever know if we keep it to ourselves. I was stunned when I heard those familiar words. The scene before me was exactly the same as the day they used the diseased pigs. When I saw James Carter staring affectionately at Sarah Miller, I clenched my palms tightly, suppressing the overwhelming hatred inside me. Seeing that I didn't say anything, Sarah Miller immediately started crying. Emily, are you mad that I stole your spotlight? I'm thinking about everyone here. Every penny saved is a penny earned. There's nothing wrong with this pork. James Carter immediately defended her and shouted at me. You always try to run the kitchen and walk around with a sour face. It's disgusting. You don't even do your job properly and just act jealous of Sarah Miller. You better listen to her this time. One of my colleagues handed Sarah a handkerchief and turned to me impatiently. James is right. You've gone too far. You bully my junior sister every day. If you pull the same tricks today, don't blame us for being harsh. Hearing everyone's gentle tone towards Sarah Miller, I clenched my fists and felt a deep pain in my chest. In my past life, I saw the pigs dying from plague flesh, discolored and diseased. I feared that if people ate the sick pork, it would harm the chief and the entire department. I ignored their coldness and begged them to deal with the pigs. I even dragged my feverish body to stand guard and burned the pigs. I helped cook with all I had. I never expected that they had already colluded and taken bribes from the pig farm. They were willing to risk the chief's life to make money. Everyone saw me as an obstacle to their profits, so they hated me and insulted me. James Carter walked up slowly and looked down at me. Emily Turner, I never knew you were so malicious. You just couldn't bear to see Sarah Miller succeed. Everyone here agrees with Sarah's suggestion. Don't try to stop this because of your own selfish motives. Looking at James Carter's self-righteous face, a wave of nausea rose in my throat. That hypocritical face had wasted 3 years of my life. I took a deep breath and said coldly, since you've all decided to use those sick pigs, whatever happens is on you. It has nothing to do with me. I wasn't hysterical like they imagined, nor did I cry or beg. James Carter shrugged and sneered. You think anyone's going to be scared off by your act? These pigs look fine. What could go wrong? Then he looked at me meaningfully and added, if something does go wrong, it's probably because you poisoned them. Hearing his shameless accusation, I laughed coldly in my heart. Someone else chimed in. That's right. Emily Turner probably wanted credit for herself and got mad when we exposed her. I watched them collude openly. Several people looked at me with disdain, as if I had committed some unforgivable crime. Thinking back to how I was locked in a pig pen and died of illness, and how my parents were beaten to death with sticks, I hated these ungrateful wolves from the depths of my soul. This time, I won't interfere. If they want to die, let them. I turned to leave, but James Carter grabbed my wrist and said, "You're staying here with everyone." I looked at him coldly. "Let me go. Don't drag me into your mess." A colleague stepped forward and blocked my path. "Emily Turner, you know too much. You're not allowed to leave." Sarah Miller stepped closer with a sweet smile and said, "Emily Turner, just stay and help us out. Don't worry, we won't make it hard for you." There was a triumphant glint in her eyes. They were terrified I'd ruin their little scheme. Before anyone else could speak, James Carter said coldly, "Sarah's right. If you leave and start talking, we'll all lose our jobs and we'll probably go to jail too. Just to be safe, you need to stay." Everyone blocked the exit, their eyes filled with hostility, like they'd break my legs if I tried to leave. I frowned at James Carter's shameless logic. "Who do you think you are? You're pathetic. I won't say anything. Just let me go." He laughed. "No one will believe your nonsense. But if you stay, it'll put everyone at ease." Rage built inside me. "I don't want to stay. Let me go now." My exhausted body was burning with fever. I gritted my teeth and said, "I really don't care what happens to any of you. I feel sick. I just want to go home and sleep." I tried to pull my wrist away, but he didn't budge. Instead, I was forced to sit in the chair. "James Carter, what do you think you're doing?" I asked coldly. They exchanged glances and smiled, then turned around and silently walked away. A moment later, they came back with a hemp rope and tied my limbs without hesitation. Sarah Miller looked at me with pitiful eyes and said softly, "Emily Turner, we're sorry to wrong you like this. Once lunch is over, we'll let you go." Hearing that, everyone started chiming in. "Sarah, stop wasting time explaining to this ungrateful woman. She's only going to bring trouble to all of us. As long as she stays put and doesn't cause problems, we won't touch her. The priority now is to finish cooking time's almost up." Watching them standing in a circle, smiling casually at Sarah, I sneered silently. I just wondered whether their so-called bond could survive the storm to come. I didn't want to witness their hypocrisy any longer, so I closed my eyes and tried to rest. Footsteps echoed around me as they all walked into the kitchen, ready to start handling the diseased pigs. Sarah Miller took a step back with panic in her eyes and muttered, I feel dizzy. Can I just stay near the door and watch while you do it?" She looked around with red-rimmed eyes and a pale face, trying to appear genuinely ill. "If I faint from the blood..." James Carter immediately stepped forward, placing a hand on her forehead with concern. "You've already done enough. There's no way we'd let you get your hands dirty. I'll stay and watch with you, just to make sure you're okay." Sarah threw a smug glance my way, then lowered her head shyly and covered her mouth and nose with a handkerchief. Several sick pigs were lined up on the ground. James Carter stood over them and began giving instructions calmly. Tools were pulled out, and with a sharp, sizzling sound, the pigs' stomachs were sliced open. A revolting stench of rot spread instantly. One person rushed to the side to throw up. I turned my head at the sound. The pigs weren't just an odd shade of purple. They were clearly decomposing. If they had stopped and burned the pigs at that moment, maybe everyone would have been spared. But they were too far gone. Fighting back nausea, they went on cleaning the meat and organs. I watched as they rinsed the pork several times, dumped it into a pot, and poured in seasoning. I smiled to myself. The show was about to begin. As the aroma of braised pork filled the air, everyone's shoulders visibly relaxed. Someone filled a bowl and tasted it confidently. Sarah was right. Who'd guess anything was wrong with this meat? Some people just hate seeing us succeed. "It's fine. I don't care how Emily treats me. As long as I can help everyone, a little suffering is nothing." Voices and footsteps came from outside. At the chief's guard's call, the dishes were served calmly. Guests ate heartily, praising the braised pork with thumbs up. Then, and only then, did they untie me, drag me outside, and threaten me to keep my mouth shut if I didn't want trouble. The chief nodded approvingly. James Carter held Sarah Miller's hand with pride. As long as you're satisfied, Chief. The kitchen staff stood behind him, straightening their clothes and smiling like they were already counting their bonuses. Sarah Miller's smile was flawless. This was our first time handling a cooking commission on this scale, and given your status, we were afraid of messing it up. Luckily, it seems everyone enjoyed the meal. Seeing the guests feasting, a rare smile appeared on the chief's usually stern face. You've worked hard. I heard you started early this morning. The food's excellent. Thank you for your efforts. James Carter's gaze fell admiringly on Sarah Miller, and he straightened with pride. Chief, many of these dishes were created by comrade Sarah Miller. Your approval is the greatest recognition of her skill and the best support for our restaurant. Thunderous applause erupted. The chief smiled even more broadly and waved to the guards. I've seen your hard work. I'll make sure you're all rewarded when we return, especially comrade Sarah Miller. Such talent at a young age must be acknowledged. Everyone shook hands and laughed joyfully, as if they hadn't just risked poisoning an entire village. Bold doesn't even begin to describe it. One of the guards sniffed the air, his expression puzzled. There's some kind of smell. Before he could finish, James Carter cut him off, flashing the chief a sycophantic smile and shooting me a disgusted look. It's probably Emily Turner. She's lazy and piles up trash until we're forced to clean it ourselves. My coworkers jumped in, backing him up with false accusations. Just then, an elderly woman clutched her stomach. Son, my stomach hurts. Did I eat something bad? The chief's mother was pale, sweating heavily. Panic overtook the chief as he rushed to her side. Mom, what's wrong? Did you catch a cold? I'll have someone take you to the clinic. The villagers gathered, concerned about the elderly woman. After a moment, she squeezed the chief's hand and shook her head. Today's too important. Don't spoil the mood for everyone else. I'm probably just old, maybe caught a chill or ate something too heavy. My colleague sighed in relief. Sarah Miller loosened her shoulders and shot me another smug look. I ignored her, calmly watching it all unfold. Just when everyone settled back into their seats, a blood-curdling scream erupted from the kitchen. A guard stumbled out, face pale, hand covering his mouth. He gagged and rushed to the chief. Chief, you need to see the kitchen. It's horrible. Those people actually dared to serve you diseased pigs. Everyone stood in shock, confusion on their faces. They followed the guard inside. Moments later, the sound of vomiting echoed as they staggered against the walls, tears streaming down their faces. What the hell is that? It reeks in there. The pot's full of worms. Did they seriously cook this garbage for us? Look at the organs on the floor. They've been rotting for days. I swear I'm going to throw up everything I ate. The chief's face turned dark with fury as he stepped forward. How could you be so heartless? You actually dared to serve us diseased pigs. Do you know what the consequences of this will be? Sarah Miller's legs buckled, and she tried to slip away, but the guards blocked her path. Her voice trembled, and she shook with fear. Chief, this has nothing to do with me. I didn't do it, she stammered, tears rolling down her cheeks. But more and more people doubled over in pain, their faces turning unnaturally pale. The guards immediately seized her wrists and shouted, You're outrageous. We're taking you to prison now. Those who had previously stood close to her hung their heads in silence, too afraid to speak. James Carter stepped forward, grabbed Sarah Miller's arm, and snapped, What does she know? She's just a young girl. Stop scaring her. If you have something to say it properly. But the guard pushed him aside, and he stumbled, nearly falling. Under the furious gazes of the crowd, he suddenly rushed toward me, grabbed my wrist, and dragged me before the chief. Emily Turner is the real culprit. She embezzled public meal vouchers to pay off her debts and bought diseased pigs. She threatened all of us to go along with her or face consequences, he said. Hearing James Carter twist the truth so shamelessly, I couldn't help but find it laughable. He didn't even try to protect Sarah Miller anymore. It's not me. I had nothing to do with this, I said, yanking my hand away and staring at them coldly, but someone kicked me hard in the knee, trying to silence me. Seeing the shift, James Carter did everything he could to pin the blame on me. Chief, please stand up for us. She's been abusing her seniority, cutting our wages, and always targeting my junior sister out of jealousy, he said. Sarah Miller bit her lip as sobs escaped her throat. Senior brother, stop. If Emily Turner is punished, I'll feel responsible forever. All the once silent colleagues now stood up and shouted. It was Emily Turner.
We can all testify.
She's the one who bought the sick pigs. We didn't want to go along with it, but she coerced and bribed us. She's always bullying Sarah. We all saw it. Please get to the bottom of this and clear our names. Under James Carter's lead, my colleagues fabricated lie after lie, twisting every false charge onto me. With their provocation, the village's fury exploded. The crowd surged forward, fists flying. My voice was drowned in the chaos. It wasn't me. The real culprits are Sarah Miller and James Carter. I screamed at the top of my lungs, but James Carter struck me hard in the abdomen with a wooden stick. His face was twisted with rage. Confess already. We've suffered long enough. You're not getting away this time. Pain exploded in my gut as blood spilled from my mouth. I clenched my teeth and glared at them. Just then, my parents burst through the crowd and stood in front of me, their faces flushed with anger. Our daughter would never do something like this. She's being framed, my father shouted. But the villagers weren't listening. Their eyes were bloodshot, and they closed in with menacing glares. Seeing my parents about to be beaten, I forced myself to my feet, walked up to the chief, and shouted, The one trying to kill you is Sarah Miller. I have evidence. My words cut through the noise, and the crowd fell silent, turning their hateful glares toward me. Still making excuses? You don't care about human lives just to protect yourself. Look around. Everyone ate the meat. This is serious. You dared to poison the chief. If you don't give us answers today, you're not leaving this village. My parents stood between me and the crowd, eyes filled with tears and faces full of desperation. Please believe our daughter. She wouldn't even hurt a fly. How could she possibly feed sick pork to everyone? Just hear her out. Let her tell the truth. Their voices trembled. The memory of my tragic death in a previous life flooded back, and I reached out, gently holding their hands and giving them a reassuring nod. Then I turned to the chief, took a deep breath, and faced the villagers squarely. Sarah Miller is the one responsible. She ignored my warnings and insisted on cooking diseased pigs into braised pork. Sarah's eyes widened and her lips parted, but she quickly looked down with an aggrieved expression. Emily Turner, I know you're scared of the consequences, but don't blame it on me, she said softly. Look at all your colleagues. They've seen who you really are. Stop dodging responsibility. My colleagues didn't hesitate to nod in agreement, their expressions full of contempt. My parents clenched their fists, tears brimming. You're all lying. Our daughter is innocent. This is slander. James Carter marched up to me with self-righteous fury. Emily Turner, even if you were my girlfriend, I can't protect you anymore. You've done too many awful things, and now you've endangered the whole village. You dared to harm the chief. I won't watch you repeat your mistakes. Admit what you've done. His righteous tone stirred the villagers' anger again. They hurled the vilest insults at me, and the crowd engulfed my parents. I stood firm and met the chaos with a steady voice. I have proof that someone else was involved. Sarah Miller's pupils shrank in panic, but she quickly composed herself and stepped forward. You'll pay for your lies, Emily Turner. Don't worry. Even if you end up in labor reform, we'll still be family when you come out, she said with a fake smile and reached out to pat my shoulder. I took a step back, avoiding her touch, then pulled a folded paper from my pocket. She froze. Her expression faltered, but she forced a smile. What's that supposed to be? Emily, don't do this. If you confess now, we'll speak up for you. Otherwise, everyone here will be disappointed, and things won't end well. Ignoring her threat, I unfolded the paper and handed it to the chief. Take a look, sir. This is the pork purchase invoice. My name's not on it. In bold black letters, the signature, Sarah Miller, was clearly written. The guard immediately grabbed her by the arms. So it was you. You tried to murder the chief. Come with us. Sarah gasped and thrashed wildly. No, it's not me. You've got the wrong person. Arrest Emily Turner instead. James Carter rushed forward, grabbed her arm, and turned to the guard. It wasn't her. We can all testify that Sarah Miller didn't do this. Someone's framing her. Please find the real truth. Don't let us down. Under James Carter's direction, my colleagues stood up one after another, all talking at once, throwing the blame on me. Just like in my previous life, they dumped every ounce of filth onto me, trying to accuse me of plotting the chief's murder and ruining my chance to ever clear my name. My father choked back sobs and cried out, "James Carter, my daughter treated you so well, and this is how you repay her?" James barely glanced at me, his expression blank and heartless. "Uncle, she tried to poison the chief and made the whole village eat sick pork. I can't cover for evil anymore." I had no intention of getting tangled in their lies any further, so I pointed directly at the name on the document. "It's right here in black and white, Sarah Miller's name. This has nothing to do with me." The villagers, now furious, glared at them with veins popping from their foreheads. "So it was you all along, playing innocent while accusing her. If the girl hadn't shown evidence, she'd be dead by now." But James Carter's face darkened, and he gritted his teeth. "You've all been deceived. Emily Turner planned this in advance to avoid being caught. She even forged Sarah's name. She's always been obsessed with imitating her, copying her clothes, her mannerisms, everything. Look at their outfits. Aren't they practically identical?" One villager who had just offended me turned furious, glaring at my parents. "How dare you raise a daughter like this? The whole family deserves a labor camp." The chief's mother stormed over and shouted, "You knew the whole village would be eating today, and you still used diseased pigs? Were you trying to kill us all?" She clearly believed their lies. James Carter seized the moment and looked at me with feigned disappointment. "Emily, stop resisting. Everyone saw how you like to steal food coupons. Even if you want to hide the truth, it's too late. Your father only came because he knew how serious this is and wanted to stir up trouble." His regretful tone only served to ignite the villagers' rage. They stormed over, grabbed my wrist, and prepared to drag me to the police station. No one cared about the evidence. To them, I was already guilty. James Carter and Sarah Miller stood in the back, wearing smug smiles. My colleagues looked relieved, shoulders slack as if justice had been served. The villagers shouted, "Send their whole family to the station." Just then, hurried footsteps approached, and a group of guards entered with a short man in tow. "Stop right there." They approached the chief respectfully. "We've arrested the supplier. He confessed." The villagers froze, confused. Sarah Miller's face turned ghostly pale as she tried to slip away, but the guards caught her. The short man dropped to his knees without a word, sobbing. "Chief, I swear I didn't know the pork was for you. If I had known, I never would have dared." The chief slammed the table, knocking over an enamel cup. "I'm no different than anyone else. You shouldn't be selling diseased pigs to anyone." The man trembled, repeatedly kowtowing and muttering apologies. Panic swept through James Carter, Sarah Miller, and the others. James looked at me with disbelief, clearly shocked I had acted so quickly. Before the chief could respond, the villagers erupted again. "Caught red-handed. The supplier admitted it. Let's send this wicked family straight to the station. She made the chief and all of us eat contaminated meat. The chief's mother got sick. So many of us are unwelsh's pure evil. This whole family is trash. The daughter steals food and meat coupons, and the parents help her hide it. We've seen those disgusting pigs in the kitchen, and they still had the nerve to serve them. They even lied and smeared their coworkers. Lock them up." Outside, a large crowd had already gathered. I looked around at their enraged faces and sneered internally. "Sarah Miller, still not going to speak the truth? When you bought that pig, I told you not to go through with it. But you thought it was nothing, and even said that if anything went wrong, you'd pin it on me. Since joining this state-owned restaurant, I've been diligent, loyal, and always the last to leave. I did everything seriously, so you wouldn't have to worry. All of you know Sarah Miller signed that purchase order, but you were scared she'd take the fall, so you lied and blamed me." The crowd murmured restlessly, now unsure whom to believe. My calm voice cut through the tension. James Carter snapped and charged at me, ready to slap me, but someone grabbed his arm just in time. I stared at him coldly and said, "You're lying. Stop it and admit what you've done." I held up the purchase order. walked to the list of chefs posted on the wall, and placed the documents side by side. Tell me, did I sign it too? The villagers crowded closer and compared the documents. One grabbed James by the collar and roared, "You did it. You tried to poison the chief." James stood frozen, face pale as ash, body trembling. I wouldn't dare hurt the chief," I smirked. "You're stammering. And you know what? Even without the purchase order, I can prove Sarah Miller's guilt because she and the pig supplier are father and daughter." A gasp swept through the crowd like thunder. Eyes widened. No wonder they look so alike, they're related. It was planned all along. How many times have they done this? Feeding diseased pigs to use. If not for this girl, we'd still be in the dark. Sarah Miller's legs gave out, and she collapsed. She shook her head in terror. "No, it wasn't me, we didn't know. Let us go." Her father knelt and clung to her. "Sarah Miller, you work with her. Go beg for forgiveness. Maybe she'll show mercy. Please, just beg her. If we're sent to labor reform, our lives will be over," the pig farmer cried. Upon hearing this, Sarah Miller scrambled toward me on her hands and knees, clutching the hem of my trousers. "Emily Turner, you're a kind person.
Please don't hold this against me.
I know I was wrong. Please ask the chief to release my father and me," she sobbed, banging her head on the ground like she was genuinely repentant. But I knew better. She was only scared of the consequences. When I didn't respond, she jumped up and kicked her father viciously. "This is all your fault. Why couldn't you raise pigs properly? If I hadn't been afraid people would find out, I wouldn't have brought them to the restaurant. What are you going to do to make it right? What am I supposed to do now? You've ruined me." Still unsatisfied, she turned on me and kicked me repeatedly until the guards dragged her away. Once the truth came out, James Carter knelt down and began slapping himself. "Emily Turner, please help me. Please ask for leniency. We were supposed to get married." My other colleagues joined in, begging humbly for forgiveness. I watched them, calm and unmoved. How could this group of ingrates cry and repent now, just because they were afraid? They had no problem sacrificing me the moment it suited them. I had anticipated this. Even with evidence, I knew James Carter and Sarah Miller would try to twist the story. I couldn't let my parents suffer the same tragedy again, so I'd already ordered the guards to bring Sarah Miller's father here directly from the pig farm to confirm everything. When I remained silent, they all fell to their knees in front of the chief. "Chief, we were tricked too. We didn't know Sarah Miller would do this. We just followed James Carter's lead. Please, if you're going to arrest anyone, take those two." Emily Turner was right. It was their plan all along. She tried to stop us from butchering the sick pigs, but we ignored her. "Please send them to labor reform. They're too cruel." Hearing that, Sarah Miller exploded in rage and lunged at them. "I'll rip your mouths off. Now you want to pin it on me? I won't let you go." Her fellow coworkers, unable to vent their anger any other way, turned on her, beating and kicking her. James Carter was also surrounded and quickly ended up with a face full of bruises. I stood with my parents, watching in silence. People who do wrong should always pay the price. From the moment they sided with James Carter and Sarah Miller, their fate was sealed. The chaos only stopped when guards stepped in and separated them. The chief's mother came over and gently took my hands. "I'm sorry, child. I was wrong," she said, her eyes full of guilt. The other villagers followed suit, loudly apologizing. My parents held me up as tears welled in their eyes. The chief ordered the guards to escort the group to the police station. But just then, Sarah Miller pulled out a knife and lunged at me, screaming, "You deserve to die. If I can't live in peace, neither can you." In that instant, a colleague pushed James Carter in front of her, and she stabbed him instead. "You dare hurt Emily Turner? You're truly beyond saving. We won't fall for your lies ever again." James Carter stared down at the blood on his stomach in disbelief. His face drained of color as he looked at me. "Emily Turner, wait for me," he choked out before collapsing. I said nothing. Taking my parents' arms, I walked away from the state-owned restaurant without once looking back. When we returned home, and I saw the place I hadn't visited in so long, I finally broke down in tears. My parents stayed by my side, their faces still full of worry. A short while later, we heard hurried footsteps outside. "Emily, We were wrong. We brought you something. Please don't be angry. We made everything ourselves. And May brought you fresh fruit. I heard you like fruit. We stepped outside and saw the villagers from earlier swarming toward us, each carrying baskets. I was stunned. They handed their offerings to us, smiling as if nothing had happened. I quickly waved my hands. No, really, that's not necessary. But they continued smiling and placing the gifts inside our home. It's nothing fancy, just a small token. Don't refuse, or we won't be able to sleep tonight, they insisted. I looked at my parents' awkward expressions and sighed. I understood these were simple, well-meaning people. If I refused, it would only make things worse. A few moments later, several cars pulled up outside. The chief's mother stepped out, trembling, holding a shopping bag. Child, I was wrong earlier. I saw you covered in blood and wanted to do something. I bought you some new clothes. See if they fit, she said kindly. I accepted the clothes with both hands and went inside to try them on. When I came back out, she gave me a satisfied nod. They fit perfectly. Keep them on. I wanted to refuse, but the words stuck in my throat. Under her gaze, I could only nod. After some time resting at home, we received news of the verdict. James Carter, Sarah Miller, and others involved were sentenced to labor camps for their crimes. Later, someone came on James Carter's behalf, asking to see me. I refused without hesitation. Not long after, I heard that James Carter had died of illness. My father sighed and said, "Emily Turner, God is watching. Thank goodness you never married him." I nodded without hesitation.
Yes.
Let's not speak of him again. Even mentioning his name feels unlucky.